All right. Welcome. Welcome to Maximize Your Medicare. My name's J.O. I'm the author. Maximize Your Medicare, the 24-25 edition. Available anywhere you can buy a book. It's up in your left hand corner. I think it's like $11. Anyway, I'm the author. I'm also an education fellow at the Alliance for Lifetime Income, protectedincome.org. Please check it out. Great resource for all things retirement. Regulations tell me that I have to tell you this. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Currently, we represent approximately 15 organizations which offer over 100 products nationwide. Please contact Medicare.gov, 1-800-MEDICARE, or your local state health insurance program ship to get information of your options. The reality is I have a newsletter. Be sure to go to the website, maximizeyourmedicare.com. For paid subscribers, you get things that I can say but need to handle with more caution. And so you can understand huge regulations around people like me. In addition to that, protecting the message of my book, which is intended for every possible Medicare beneficiary, irrespective of background, irrespective of financial resources, irrespective of health situation. So the point here, and we're going to get right onto it, is I'm not here to settle political or philosophical differences amongst the country. No way, wouldn't even try it. Okay, we don't agree on the city dog catcher. The idea that I'm going to convince you about your beliefs of government in U.S. life, the ability for companies or their motivations or your doctor or the x-ray lab, no chance. Zero. That said, what ends up happening, I find the crossfire regarding politics or philosophy, the moment you step into it, you are taking attention away from actual understanding about Medicare. And if anything, it's like an excuse. It's an excuse to not find out more. It's an excuse to blame someone else. Like the whole, just the conversation of partisanship, because, it's like killing me. The point here is I don't want people to be distracted from noise. There's a task to understand Medicare, complicated task. It's a vital task. I'll stick with that and that alone. And from there, this book is now 10 years old. 10 years old. Meaning I started this when I was stunned as a result of the fact that people didn't understand what financial contracts were, much less how they would possibly be priced. And then thinking that health insurance is the same thing as healthcare. Healthcare is practiced by physicians, hospitals, nurses, nurse practitioners, etc. Right? Health insurance is financial contract whose price is determined by math and competitive markets. Those are two different topics. Maximize Your Medicare, my book, is about explaining the financial contract, which is Medicare, which is a subset of health insurance. The end. The end. If you take a look at my Facebook page and I've left it open for comments, you can see all sorts of different types of, protests, objections. Let's just move on before I get more upset. Get upset about this kind of thing. All right. So you can see I'm still bad at videography. We will get onto it. There's a reason I started today in this way, right? This isn't a partisanship matter. And I grew up in the age division of course, worshiping Rolling Stone and Sports Illustrated. I wouldn't pin this to a particular political party. I wouldn't. Okay. And it's very ironic. Ironic? Not ironic. It gives you an idea on how complicated the topic is. Right? The party here being stated in this article, and I'll be careful, I'm not saying this article is accurate, because it could be that Democrats are also planning to totally privatize Medicare. And you'll see why. Which is, Republicans are planning to totally privatize Medicare, which means Medicare Advantage. Who are the beneficiaries of Medicare Advantage? Minorities, low-income households. Are those the two groups that you associate with the Republican Party? Not necessarily. So what you have here is this idea how perverse it is. Party 1 helping out the members of Party 2. So from there, that said, are there changes going to be occurring? I don't think that there's any question, right? While I'm not in the business of, telling you what my crystal ball says, which doesn't work, which I don't have, is the fact that Medicare Advantage is having challenge, no doubt. And you can see here, this is Yahoo Finance, which is a reprint from another article. Richard Eisenberg, very well-known journalist covering retirement matters. And you can see it here. And this is what I've already stated on multiple occasions in Jay's Corner, jo.substack.com, there in your lower left-hand corner, right? Which is that the financial challenges to Medicare Advantage carriers is non-trivial. Non-trivial. I'll be on with Bob Powell on thestreet.com. I appear there multiple times a year, 20 times a year, at least. So what you can see here is this list. It's not just one carrier. Humana, CVS, Centene, Cigna, not part of here, omitted it from here, not sure why. United Healthcare, all pointing out the same thing. That's basically what has happened is the Medicare Advantage members have used the benefits to a greater degree than they anticipated. Number one. Number two is the star rating system has gotten slightly harder. Star rating, risk adjustment, complicated stuff underneath the hood on Medicare Advantage plan, every Medicare Advantage plan, right? And as a result, the results on the insurance carriers have suffered. And without getting, I'm not here to conduct a pity party for Humana or any, Medicare Advantage carrier. This is not financial advice. There's a reason for that over on your left-hand side of the screen. It has been difficult, and you can see it here. And I'm not going to, let's just continue. Right, this is, again, still not a pity party, but you can see not a pleasant ride if you are the owners of Humana stock. So as a result of this, you can see that the conclusion, which I'm not going, in the absence of a crystal ball, this is just kind of using common sense. This is not some person standing out on a limb. I don't find that. And it's just simply that, look, we've got complaints about Medicare Advantage. We've got vice tightening on Medicare Advantage plans. We're going to have all sorts of questions about reform. And oh yeah, by the way, we have more than 32 million people on Medicare Advantage plan of some sort. Some private, some from their employer-sponsored retiree health plan. are different, just different twists, but Medicare Advantage at the end of the day. What we have here then, of course, are lots of chefs in the kitchen. Lots. And you can see this is from Axios, high quality source for news. And I'm not going to discuss the nitty gritty, but basically what you can have is reforms. Here's the underlying report. I'll leave the link in the text after I'm done broadcasting. But basically what you have here is this and this, and you've got commercial reality, right? In other words, there are two sides to every coin. Well, actually, there are three. There's the side. But my point is the big side, the big sides to the coin are, yeah, Medicare Advantage is going to be a problem because you're going to get skimpier and costlier. The flip side is that the people who needed to save the money have. And here, finally, I'm going to end it here, almost end it here, is EBRI is amongst the creme de la creme of resources. I highly encourage people to look at it if you're interested. And what ends up happening is healthcare costs can be considered or may necessarily be a salient issue for workers. And this is, this is my wheelhouse, of course. The book is about it, but really the book is just a pie slice of an overall picture of retirement planning. And now people want to retire earlier, for example. Okay, well, now that means that it becomes part of what people have to think, pull that thought process forward so that they can think through the different issues. That's for a different topic. That's actually for a different channel. So what you have here is that while all the controversy exists, while we have all these controversies about the network inside of Medicare Advantage, you can see it on average. That the analysis here tells you that a 65-year-old man, right, with, you want to have a 90%, and you can get to the article and see a 90% chance, we need to have saved 184. Now this is for Medigap, Part D, Original Medicare. The same 90%, and it's glossed over. In fact, they don't swerve to make this point, which is although there is significant individual variation, generally have lower savings targets, meaning, and you can see it, the same man, 90%, needs to have 99. Up here, remember, that person needed to have, we'll see it up here, 90%, blah, 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 184. 184 to 99 for a 65-year-old single male. This is basically 50%. This doesn't get headlines, right? It doesn't sell. There's a reason, right? My two channels don't have this, viral ability. I'm very sure that's not a word, right? It is not going to go viral because people don't like to talk about the topic, and and I'm not here just throwing, fireballs at different groups. While most of the world is focused on the negative, I'm also pointing out that on average, you can see it here, that, and they do a good job of couching that, right? Which is significant individual variation. This is another way of saying on average doesn't mean too much, right? The average person has a 10 size 10 black Nike running shoe. Okay, how many people actually own that shoe? So here's part of the grace of Medicare, right? Because the on averageness, and I know that's not a word. I'm making up words that people can understand, right? Which is that this is giving you the average case. But the reality is that you as an individual, you know better. You know better than I. You know better than the carriers. You know that you're not the average case. You're, you know, you're 900 pounds. Your name is Jabba. You eat rats. Okay. You're Miss Sick a lot. Every time, the temperature, the weather changes, you get a cold. You know who you are. And it can be the other side of the scale. Not the weight scale, but you can understand my point. You're 175, 5'11" male, never sick, never had a beer. No medications, parents live to 150 years old. Guess what? You're also not average. Point here is maximize your Medicare, and these articles, no matter what the take is, no matter what the information is, this information is unlikely to be absolutely wrong. Nevertheless, what is most important is whether that fits your situation so that you can understand whether or not ideas like this, right, about the average case can be taken into account and thought through correctly as it applies to you. The frustrating, as you can hear the frustration in my voice, the complicated, the challenging, the frustrating topic can be when the fact is that I'm not introducing anything here complicated. This is common sense. I'm very confident that most people have it. It's simply that people get distracted from the flamethrowers, from partisanship, from philosophers. For people who use their common sense and go through the practical reality, then they can think through what approach might be best. Last point. And I've made it with Bob Powell the last time, took up almost the entire video, which is I'm giving you information in the book here on these videos about how it works. Okay. There's then your situation, the second layer. Right? And by the second layer, what I mean is your financial resources, your access to healthcare providers, how fragmented it may be, how often is your likelihood of using healthcare services, right? Are you Mr. Perfect? Are you Miss Sick a lot? That's you. There's the third step, which is do it. And by doing it, what I mean is executing. Because then we're going to see my other statements in other locations. I'm working with the Alliance for Lifetime Income. We're creating a byline for Kiplinger, which will be out, I don't know, in the next month or so. But then there's the actual execution of steps, which is an entirely different thing, which is ultimately why I did have to read the disclaimer at the beginning, right? Because I've not given you any specific advice, right? Privately, yes, of course. Fitting these groups, fitting these three layers, if you will, right? Fitting these three layers is ultimately the goal, which is understand the rules, understand how you fit within those rules, meaning your particular private situation. But then executing is a vital third step. I don't recommend that people do this by themselves, which is why I've got a paywall, because I've made a statement about, and which I will I don't take back the statement. this here is, I understand its motivation. I also think it falls short. Anyway, I'll stop it there before I get in trouble. I've got lines in the sand that I'm very careful to watch out over. Go to maximizeyourmedicare.com, jo.substack.com. Be sure to like, subscribe.